Mr. Gary Gensler is back, and this time he is coming for the throat of Binance. We just got a press release from the SEC today stating that they were going to be suing Binance, and there is a lot of information to unpack here because this involves more than just Binance. Now, I got to say that this doesn't really come as a surprise to me. I think a lot of people, kind of saw this coming, right? The SEC's basically gone after everybody, so why would Binance be any different? Now, I think they're coming in last because they're so big that the SEC wants to have their case completely together before they issued anything to Binance, which it sounds like now they do. Now, this press release is pretty long, so I'm not going to read through the whole thing. I'm going to talk about some highlights from it, and I'll link it down below if you guys do want to read through the whole thing. But the title of it is SEC files 13 charges against Binance entities and founder Changpeng Zhao. That's CZ. Again, he's the founder of Binance. Now, what they're basically saying in this press release is that they have found a number of things wrong with the Binance exchange, and a couple big pieces being that they have evidence, or so they say they have evidence that CZ was moving money around different entities on the back end without investors' knowledge, and it kind of, rings a similar tune to FTX. Now, I don't know that for sure. Again, this is all based on what the SEC has stated. But what are they looking at in Binance in particular? Well, right, the unauthorized movement of customer funds. They're also calling the exchange an unregistered exchange, broker, and clearing agency. They're stating that it's unregistered offer and sale of crypto assets, doing so illegally, and their failure to restrict U.S. investors from accessing Binance.com. Now, if you guys have seen or gone to Binance.com, if you go to the main website, it looks at where you are and it won't let you onto the website, or it won't let you sign up. So they're saying that they didn't put enough in place to prevent that. Now, what I think they're referring to here is VPNs, because a lot of people in the US, would access Binance.com via VPN, and then create some phony account and use that to trade. Now, that's illegal. They're not supposed to do that, but basically what the SEC is saying here is that Binance knew this and didn't do enough to prevent it. And the last statement is misleading investors. And the misleading part, they're talking about market surveillance. So Binance has come out and said that they have lots of, security steps in place to prevent market manipulation. And the SEC is saying that that was all, fake. That basically they had nothing in place to prevent market manipulation, and that they saw this specifically happening with a crypto firm who is inflating, Sigma Chain, that's the firm, was inflating volumes on Binance. Now, this was something that was interesting to me because I've talked about how the volume on Binance is always eons higher than just about every other exchange out there. Like massively, like just way blowing every other exchange out of the water. And to me, that was kind of weird. Like, I kind of sense that there might be something going on there behind the scenes because, yes, Binance is the biggest exchange in the world, and I know this, so I expect them to have higher trading volumes, but the volumes, didn't really make sense sometimes. Like, the market would have a really down day where every other exchange has super low volume, and Binance is, way up in volume. Like, there's just a lot of weird things like that, and if you're a trader and when you're looking at the volume of different tokens and things like that, that's kind of an indication of a lot of things, right? Like that's one of the indicators you use to find out, how obviously actively traded this token is, but also to sense market manipulation. If you see a token and there's very little price movement and there's volume is going through the roof, a lot of times that's kind of a red sign or a red flag, right? Like something's going on here. There's a lot of tokens changing hands. It's spiking the volume, but again, we're not getting any price action really. And usually what happens is soon after that, the tokens will start falling, or, you just get really weird price action. Like it'll drop off a cliff or it'll shoot through the roof. And I know sometimes that happens naturally, but again, a volume is a big indicator of manipulation, especially with, when you're talking about crypto. And so, you can apply that same methodology to an exchange. And that's kind of my thought here is look, it's kind of weird that Binance has been doing this much volume, when things are as slow as they are. But anyways, stepping back from that, that's sort of the gist of this SEC press release. Again, there's a few big pieces that they're going after here. So what does CZ have to say about this? Well, we got one tweet from CZ, and I know it starts off with 4 period, but it is not a thread. He's actually referring to a pinned comment that he has on his page. 4 is like ignore the FUD or something like that. So that's why you put the 4 here. But it says, our team is all standing by, ensuring systems are stable, including withdrawals and deposits. We will issue a response once we see the complaint. Haven't seen it yet. Media gets the info before we do. So basically, they're waiting to respond, but that's about all we got from Binance. Now, with that being said, there is a lot more than just Binance, or a lot more entities than just Binance in this SEC press release, because in this press release, the SEC is accusing Binance US of providing trading for securities such as BNB, BUSD, Solana, Cardano, Matic, Filecoin, Atom, Sand, Mana, Algo, AXS, and Cody. So what the SEC is saying here is that Binance is allowing people to trade these securities. So if we take a step back, that means the SEC views all the tokens on this list as securities. And that's a big deal because that's a lot of really high profile tokens, right? We're talking about Solana, we're talking about Cardano. These are massive market cap tokens that were specifically called out in the SEC press release. So again, that in itself, to me, that's almost the bigger deal than the SEC suing Binance. Because again, I saw the SEC coming for Binance. I think everybody kind of saw that coming. But now we have like sort of a list of tokens that the SEC is viewing as securities. And we didn't really have that before, right? We had a lot of vague definitions and they were kind of randomly going after stuff. But now it looks like these specific tokens are ones that they are eyeing. And I don't know what they're looking at specifically amongst these tokens, because I can tell you right now, there's a lot of tokens on this list that I feel like would relate, have a lot of similarities to other tokens that for some reason aren't on this list. So again, I'm not really sure why they chose these and not others. But again, to me, that's almost the bigger deal here. So again, this is probably the biggest news we've gotten in the crypto space in a while. And we'll see where this goes. I'm hoping, the SEC has been a whole lot of smoke and mirrors, and they just really haven't shot very straight, and we haven't seen much action other than, them suing a bunch of different companies. But, I think a lot of those other companies that got sued are still in the early stages. So we won't really know the results of a lot of these things until, later on, years, maybe a year. So that's what we'll be waiting to see. But again, the ground is laid now. The SEC has laid the ground. We have a list of tokens that they're looking at specifically. And yeah, I don't know. Like when I was reading through the press release, again, if Binance truly is operating, fairly and doing whatever they're supposed to do, sort of like the Coinbase case, like I really do believe that Coinbase was operating fairly. And just kind of got, the crap end of the stick from the SEC. If that's the same situation with Binance, then, again, I hope that Binance wins this, and I hope we can move on from all this SEC stuff. But I gotta say, through reading it, a lot of what they said in the press release, I would not be surprised of. Again, the volume piece being the biggest one, market manipulation. They have futures contracts that they trade on Binance, lots of derivatives. So that is like opening the door to market manipulation, and they do so, it almost feels like willingly, because I know they say they've got controls in place, but I have noticed myself personally that it doesn't seem like there's enough controls in place, and that it's pretty easy to manipulate markets if you're, a whale in the space using Binance. So again, if they did the crime, then I believe they should do the time. But if they, again, if all of this is fake, and we'll see what the evidence is once the SEC really rolls out what they're looking at and their evidence, and again, if we determine from that they were doing these things, then yeah, I mean, it's a good thing that the SEC is going for them. But I don't know. It's just tough to side with the SEC because they have a pretty poor track record and they have, a tendency to bring a sledgehammer at everything rather than trying to be constructive and, a little more helpful in the space. So, yeah, anyways, guys, jumping off my soapbox there, just wanted to share this news with you guys. If this is your first time to the channel, please like and subscribe. And with that being said, I will see you all next time.